yesterday? Like, what did we mention yesterday? Yeah, basically academic writing style. Yeah, so we emphasize a lot on vocabulary. Yeah, and then structure. We talk more about structure today, like topic sentences, concluding sentences. Like if you master all these, you will give a very nice academic impression to others. And then we also have a look at arguments, right? Because arguments is a very important component in academic writing. And now we first start with critical reading skills. Okay, so what critical reading skills you should adopt? Well, some questions for you to think about. You will see that is in your handout as well. So have you ever had any problems when you're being asked to read research articles? Like, have you ever been asked, like, have you been asked to read any like academic papers before? Yeah. In English? Yes. Okay. And so do you find like any difficulties? I mean, it can be the paper being too long or being too difficult or like having too many concepts that you don't know which one you should pay more attention to, right? And then maybe like further problems is like you finish reading this, you think you understand or you remember, and then after you finish this one and then read the other one, then you forget what you have read before. And so reading, I guess, because I've experienced all of them, and I think I've mentioned most of the problems. And the more important question would be the second one. Do you have any strategies then to deal with reading, journal article, academic article reading? Highlight, then highlight the whole paper at the end. Okay, I heard like keywords, topic sentences, titles, keywords. Very good. And maybe share one you think would be the best strategy to people sitting next to you or around you. Okay, and then you can hear more of the possibilities, like your strategies. It can be very personal. Okay, go ahead. One. Mm. What if the articles, like book chapters, they do not have abstracts? Yeah, then what can you do? But yeah, that's just a good strategy. Okay, so I kind of overheard some nice strategies, and we'll see whether something that I'm going to mention in today's section will overlap with what you have mentioned. I will share more about that, like for reading strategies. Now we will first do a bit of reading, right, to let you experience how reading article feels like, to kind of remind you of what reading article is like. So I think it's in your supplementary handout that you received today, first page. There is an article called "A Woman Like Me," kind of extending from yesterday's topic, women versus men. Okay, and I think some of you might have read this article. Who? Like in maybe in Chinese, right? Yeah, and if you have read it, that's great. But if you haven't, it's even better because I kind of want you to feel like what it is like to read an article. But of course, I guess not many of you have read this in English, right? So you can think of this as a like new article. And I only extract the first part of this article to you. Right? So it's a scanned uh, extract. So bear with the quality of the paper. Some questions or something for you to do while you're reading. Please take out your pen at the same time. While you're reading, ask yourself what sort of job you think the woman has. For those who have already read the article in the original version, do not tell your neighbors or classmates the answers. Okay, let them think. I want people to make guesses based on the text. All right. Second, what phrases or sentences give you that idea? They give you the impression. Oh, I think she's maybe just an example. She's a waitress. So what words give you that idea? Right? Or she's a teacher. What words give you that idea? I keep highlighting. And then after you finish reading the whole thing, what else do you want to know more based on what they have mentioned? What do you expect they would talk about in the following? Right, so keep writing something, jot some notes, highlight keywords or phrases. Okay, so please do it now. So one little reminder is that you don't need to worry about understanding every single word, right, or every single sentence. The point is, don't get too carried away by the storyline. Remember, you have to answer me these questions. Okay, so keep finding answers for these questions. Right, that's the point. And maybe I give you 1 more minute, like kind of going through the article first, and then you can discuss your thoughts with your classmates for these questions.
Nó gặp tình nó kia sợ nó gặp tình nó kia thẳng tình quen rồi
So it's like when I walk along just one single row, I already heard of like five different answers. I guess it's nice that you can make different guesses as long as you have like make your guess based on reasonable hints. That's the point. So may I just find different people to share with me your answers, like maybe from different rows too? Like what about I will pass it later. So you feel free to pass it to your other. So for the question, the first question, what sort of job do you think the woman has? And we both agreed that maybe the woman is a jobless lady. Yeah. So how can we know that from the sentence that I had the appearance of a happy person, but in my heart was filled with a hidden sorrow. I was so terribly unhappy. And the last sentence, mm, so when he asked me if I had a job, I told him that I had been working for several years. So from the two sentence, yeah, I feel like that if somebody asked me, what kind of job do you have? Um, if I have a real job, I would just directly tell him that, well, I am a teacher and I had been working for 7 years or so. But she didn't tell Xia. So she just said that, oh, I had been working for several years. So it feels that, yes, avoided the question. Yeah, thank you. I'll pass it to the next group. Different answer, like
And after my discussion with my partner, so I have the same point about the classmate. Yeah, so we think she is a lady or unemployment. So that's our point. Yeah.
From my opinion, I think she's like a housewife. Yeah, or yeah, same one, the jobless. Yeah, cause I can see the like fourth line, from which there was no escape, rests solely with fate, which has played a close trick on me. Um, I can see the sorrow, the sadness from this line, like this fate. I mean, yeah, and I think this is a bad fate for her. And the last, I agree to show him where I work, and that will be the final chapter. Uh, I think it's hard to tell this man. She had such job, so I think this job is bad for her. Mm, yeah, and the trap. I mean, she fall into this trap. It's a bad trap. So maybe she's jobless or just a housewife. Yeah. We have different ideas. I feel like the woman, she is someone who work in finance, maybe real estate, or she's a lawyer. Based on the sentence, like a woman like me is actually unsuitable for any man's love, and I am totally powerless to resist fates, and I'm a person who has no concept of self-protection. So it's giving me like, she know what she want, and she's too focused on herself, and she has her own family, or she has her own career to take care, and this man maybe is just a summer fling. Yeah, it's like this Xia, maybe he's very interesting. He's very funny, or or he has good sense of humor that attracts this woman. That's how I feel.
It's like about a love relationship.
Yeah. Actually, we have several different guessing. So I will show the first one. We think maybe she is a writer because this sentence, I'm sitting in the corner of the coffee shop waiting for him. I agreed to show him where I work. So I guess maybe her workplace is the corner of the coffee shop. So she spent a lot of time on this coffee shop to write. And as a writer, her timetable is flexible. So she can agree with this man to accompany with him to a trip, visit a schoolmate, and she also have the time to date with him yeah. So and another thing is I think the woman is full of romantic ideas about this man, and I think it's also a characteristic of a writer. Okay. You want to speak about this?
I thought she could be a owner of a pet shop because she's really sensitive and lack of awareness of self-protection. And right, so I think she would definitely divine in an environment full of, caring and loving, like raising dogs and cats and something.
Feel that and mingling negative emotions to it. And then I also overheard like different groups sharing like she might be a prostitute, yeah, because she has a very low level of self-esteem. Yeah, that is also possible, but maybe killer as well. I'm not too sure why. And psychologist, yeah, because she is very into relationship stuff. And so I think as long as you identify keywords and lines, like, and please remember this feeling, right? And when you're reading something potentially interesting, you will generate a lot of thoughts. You really interact with the article. You ask yourself questions. You don't just accept what the article gives you. But this, you can feel that makes reading a lot more effective. But when you're given a relatively boring piece of article or academic article or something you don't know too much about, you instantly like take a very passive role. Right? So you don't ask questions or what they say, oh, it's okay. Then I copy this line to my writing. Right? So please try to use this practice to academic papers as well. And kind of highlight words. I find this one interesting. Right? Or I actually doubt whether she's actually like this. You can question the writer or question the paper. Okay? So that is why I show you this non-academic paper, right, to let you experience this first. Right? Then something to let you give you an answer. Right? So she's actually not jobless. She has a job. It's just that she is ashamed to tell a person she loves or likes. Right? And that's why I think if you guess, like she may have a job of a pretty low social rank, that is a more reasonable guess. And her job is actually a cosmetician, a person who does makeup for, not yet, for dead people. Yeah, so how can you tell this to a guy you love? Okay, come to my workplace. I show you how I do this, right? Okay, so and you can imagine this is written by the writer CC, right? And then it's more about the ancient China. I don't think like even nowadays people will be very open to this kind of idea, right? So still some people may not want to talk about death or related things. And in ancient China, like, people may have more reservation. Yeah, and so she is afraid at least to share that with others. And what do you want to know more about? I guess what sort of job do you have? You wonder how she answered. Would she avoid a question or something like this, right? So pretty interesting. Maybe after the class you can read this. Okay, so and let's continue. So here, I would like to let you know the important reading strategy. Which is like we take the first step, extract information. Extract is to get something useful or meaningful. And then you would take the step 2, actively. I highlight the word actively because I never want students to just take a passive role, right, to absorb information from a text. So try to actively interact with the information. Right? By actively interacting, you can highlight, right, or you can ask questions, you can jot down keywords, or even words, right, that pop up in your mind. And then step 3, take something out of it. Right? Maybe after you read this, you think, oh, she should not act like this. This is my thought, right? This is my stance. Remember, you can generate your own stance and arguments based on an article, and then integrate the information into your essay. And now, we will try this with a real academic paper, like more academic one. That is next page of your supplementary article. Right? I think 2 pages. 2 pages. Activity 2. I will give you time to read the first 3 paragraphs of an article on reality TV, RTV. Like not the same article as the one I told you to read yesterday, but related information. Right. So read these 3 paragraphs, and while you're reading, do these 2 things. Identify the writer's stance. Stance meaning viewpoint. Right? Do you think the writer believes that reality TV show has more pros than cons, or cons than pros, right? Something like this, right? And then generate themes. Like if you have different colors, right, with you, I mean pens of different colors or highlighters of different colors, feel free to use 3 different colors. One for highlighting words that are neutral, facts. Yeah. I give you one example. In paragraph 1, line 1, hugely popular worldwide. And you see the phrase hugely popular worldwide, line 1 in paragraph 1. So popular, I think, is just a fact. Yeah, our TV is popular, right? And you can use one color for this. And then positive aspects, something that says our TV is a good thing, then you highlight this, right? And then negative aspects, right? You use a third color to highlight that. And you kind of see like what the writer thinks overall. Okay? So please do it now. Okay, if you already have a rough idea what this writer stance is, okay, feel free to share that with your classmates. Okay? And this is the most important thing, I would say. You need to find out from an academic article, okay, knowing what the writer thinks. Like you may disagree with him or her, but know the stance. And then find out the wording, like positive, negative, and neutral. Okay? So feel free to discuss if you want to. I'll give you 2 more minutes for discussion. Okay, so I think you guys at least have some general idea of the article, I hope. Let me ask you guys a quick question. So what do you think of the writer's stance? Are you thinking of RTV positively or negatively? Right, it's pretty obvious, right? Then I guess if you have to identify or highlight or even jot down words, okay, for the negative part, say there should be many. Like, can you find any positive words? Yes, a few, right? And what about facts? Yeah, a little bit as well. Mainly in which paragraph? Yes, right. So you also have the idea that paragraph 1, the introduction, is always about background information. Right? And you would expect to find maybe facts or general opinion, maybe something that the writer believes in. Okay, so maybe they will talk about what the controversy. Remember, they will share, like, people are arguing about this topic. Like, some people believe that, while other people believe that, and then it will move up to the opinion. Of course, in the main body, they will spend most of the coverage on their own arguments. Right? So that is the structure, a typical structure. And let's see the facts. Here I have identified a few. You can see if you also get that popular worldwide. We have highlighted that in the first line of paragraph 1, and then even statistics, right? So as long as they give us genuine statistics, it should be a fact. 14.5 million audience, right? The audience size is a fact. That means it's really popular. And then the purpose is to entertain. Okay, then it is one of the facts related to RTV. Then what about positive aspects? Okay, any words you can identify? Very good. Right, valuable. And what else? Exactly. Promoter of civic values, and maybe even words like appealing, right? But then negative, too many. Okay, so I just put it down here. Okay, basically the body paragraphs 2 and 3. And then yeah, I will let you have a look first, and then we'll analyze 2 and 3 in more detail. Okay, and one typo in the article, I don't know if any one of you noticed that, is how they make a remark for paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 should start from the main argument against reality TV. Right? Can you move the remark paragraph 2 to 3 lines, 2 to 3 lines above? Okay. Understand what I'm saying? Okay, so the main argument against reality TV is the start of paragraph 2. Yeah. And you will see that even though there are many, many negative aspects, they don't just put them, randomly in the 2 paragraphs. Right? So each paragraph focus on one core message. Right? Please remember it yourself or mark it down. One paragraph, one key idea. Okay? And that key idea should be reflected in the topic sentence and the concluding sentence. Right? So even if people don't have time or don't spend too much effort reading your details, the evidence within the paragraph, they instantly know what you're writing. Right? So that is why we need to practice that after the break in this section. And so starting paragraph 2, they said the main argument against reality TV is a moral one. Right? That means you would expect that the evidence or elaboration here is about moral stuff. Yeah, so that's why humiliating, deceptive, and making people discomfort, feel not comfortable. And then paragraph 3, you see words like humiliation and deception are definitely a concern. This line is actually a transitional line, and kind of linking what is already mentioned in paragraph 2. You don't really always have to do that, right? But that is one way. And then, but more worrying, as this is the key idea, is the effort some shows go to in search of new and often dangerous ways. So then it's about danger, right, caused by RTV. And next. Then it is clear, right, after you make notes, you ask yourself questions about the stance, the writer wants to say like negative aspects are far more influential, right, or have a greater number than positive aspects. So it does more harm than good in society overall. So I think after you have read this article, it's not the entire one. Actually, there are 2 more paragraphs for that one. Right? The 4th paragraph is a counter argument paragraph. Right? They will mention, I know some people will say RTV has some benefits. They will elaborate on that. and then try to challenge them. Okay, in order to reinforce, I still think it's not good. All right, then that is paragraph 4. And then conclusion. Okay, so that's the entire article. So after knowing more about RTV, I think we can later go back to read another section on RTV. Let me give you a few more reading strategies first. You may return to your PowerPoint handout. So for reading strategies, there are things that you can do in different stages of reading. One is called pre-reading. Pre means before, and pre-reading preparation, right? Reading around a text. You don't just go directly to read the text word by word. I know a lot of students do that. Yeah, they think I don't want to lose any time. I just directly read it. Don't do that. Stay calm for at least maybe a few minutes. Okay? Read around the stuff like the title, subheadings, go through how many pages, are there any graphs or images to help you at least have some quick ideas what this article is about. And also be more critical. You can also check which journal is it being published. Is it a very famous journal or something like that? Right? So it's like when you read a book, a novel, like A Woman Like Me, you will check, oh, this writer is pretty famous. Yes, and she has written different books as well. And she always writes something about love. Then you have ideas what this article is potentially about, right? So read around a text is like that, not directly the text, but around the text. And so what is the title? Title always includes the keywords of the keywords. Okay, so not just the keywords, but the most keywords, I would say, because they only have maybe a few words to present what this article is about. They need to give you the very, very quick idea. Right? So do understand every single word of the title. And then any subheadings, don't skip them. Okay, and read the subheadings, read how many subheadings, subsections there are, and any graphs or images. And also number 4, evaluate the reliability of sources. Right, so how to do that? Imagine you are reading a journal article. Right, so most of the time when you are doing academic stuff, you read journal articles. So let me show you one thing here. One of the things that you can do, like of course you can go to Edu Library, right, to search for materials. The other thing is you go to Google Scholar. Okay, has anyone used that? Yeah, to search for academic stuff. Google Scholar is like a place for you to search for academic articles in general. And imagine you go to Google Scholar, and then I'll change it to English first. It doesn't matter, right? They will give us the result anyway. Maybe I type something about higher education. So education, just higher education first, right? And let me enlarge that. Do you see that they will give you cited by, there is a number here. That means whether this article has been cited many times. Okay? And of course, we don't blindly trust those that are cited many, many times. Maybe it's a super old article, 1980. Okay, of course, it has been cited many times. So if it is relatively recent and it's still cited many, many times, perhaps it's a rather influential article. Right, so you get some ideas. You see this one, okay, but this is old, 1990. And these are the references you can check first. And then there's a PDF, right? And let me show you here. And you know the tricks, like you can always limit the time scope. Okay? And you can check since 2020 or within 10 years. Usually your professor or lecturer would expect you to get something within 10 years. You can type it here. Then you get something pretty recent, and this one is cited by 5,000 times, right? And so maybe you want to check that out if you want to do something about higher education. Yeah, and like another one, this one, this is from a Journal of Institutional Technology and Distance something, okay, and cited also many times. right, then I would check exactly whether this is the full name. This is my first time reading this article. I don't know what it is about. I'm just doing a demo. Imagining this is the name. I will go to Google to do a bit of a check in distance learn. So highlight the name of the journal. There is one more thing you can check is check the credibility of the journal. Okay? And the way of doing that is go back to Google. It's not about Google Scholar. It's like generally speaking, you want to check the journal. Type the name of the journal and then type two more words, which is impact factor. IMPACT, impact, like how much impact that journal has made. And so impact factor will give you a score, a number, telling you like whether this journal is really influential. Okay? And of course, the trick is the higher the impact factor, the more influential the journal is. Okay? Then you kind of have some idea what you're reading, right? And then this one, actually, I kind of know that as well. International journal. Usually when journal name starts with international, sorry, no offense. Okay, but then the scores would not be very high, like 0 point something, right? Maybe it's like an open access journal. It doesn't name meaning anyone can freely download it. Okay? And so you can find in 2017, the impact factor is like point something. I don't even find this exact journal, so it's not a very famous one. What if you get a journal called Journal? I know there is a journal called Journal of Higher Education, and then impact factor. And so Journal of Higher Education, and then impact factor. You see, normally they will instantly pop up like this. Over the past 5 years, they have a score of 3 point something. Yeah, and it's actually pretty good, I would say. Right? I'm not saying things that are like 0 point something is not good. Maybe it's a very specialized area. Right? So it is not like read by many different kinds of people. But 3 point something is decent. Right? And I will show you some more examples. Like in the past, I write articles or publish in journals called like PNAS. This one is about brain and something. So you should have like a higher impact, like 9 point something, 10 point something. And fun fact, scholars always like to publish their articles in these two journals. One is Nature, one is Science. So they always publish fancy findings, like maybe why cockroaches never get married. Okay, if you can find evidence like this, you will get your article being published there. But everything scientific, all right? So it's very competitive. For Nature, you can see, so impactful, right? The impact factor is showing how impactful it is. Right? And my PhD supervisor gets one article being published there and she got promoted afterwards. Okay, so this is like something that signals whether your paper has influence. Okay, and another one is called Science. Also super high, like 40 something, 50 something. Okay, so Nature and Science, but very general. General meaning people from different fields would want to publish their articles there, so it becomes super competitive, right? And if you are in a specialized, like medical papers, always have a relatively high impact factor because they create impacts, right, for people. Okay, so these are things that maybe not super important, but I will also check to know what I'm reading. Okay, whether it's like an article that anyone can publish or they have to fight for that in order to get it published, then maybe I can trust the evidence a bit more, right? And so this is to check the reliability and also the number of citation times. Okay. And let's go back to the PowerPoint. So these are the things you can do before reading. Then what about things you do while reading? Then first thing, right, just now you did that for the RTV article, identify the writer's stance and also follow up arguments. Right? What do they use to support what they're saying? always find out the stance. Don't get distracted by random examples or random evidence, because the examples are all about the stance. Right? So if you understand that the core, then it's easier to understand the details. And then distinguish between facts and opinions. So this is kind of to teach you also a skill of newspaper reading. Right? Don't just trust everything people give you or tell you. Right? Some are facts, some are opinions. Right? Facts would be, just as I told you, like 14.5 million. Right? That's an actual figure. Right? RTV is really popular. But if they say like RTV is humiliating, like, you may disagree with it. It's just the writer's opinion. Right? So facts, you don't really disagree with that. You can quote it, you cite it in your paper. But opinion, you may mention that and feel free to say whether you agree or disagree. Right? One example, like Edu is one of the universities in Hong Kong. So it's a fact. But if I say Edu is the best university in Hong Kong, okay, so I should, okay, then maybe some people like it, some people don't, right? It's an opinion, right? Then you know how to distinguish between them. And then try to, this is more advanced, right? Just like what you do for a woman like me, infer. Infer is like you try to make reasonable guesses. Infer meaning when it is not stated clearly. Even when people don't tell you that, you know, oh, that lady in the story should feel bad about herself or her fate in general, right? Because she used those wordings, right? So infer something, keep thinking. Right? This is things that you can do. Don't just highlight. Highlight is good, but after you highlight, guess, write down things, write down thoughts as well. And after you read, don't just stop because you'll forget everything. Okay, if you don't do a bit of things afterwards, consider the relevance of this text to your task. Right? I guess when you read something, you have a purpose. Think whether this paper can help your assignment directly, and maybe not the entire paper, just a few arguments or just one example is relevant. Then mark it down immediately. Okay? Don't just go directly to read something differently. Okay? Write down something, how it is going to help you. Okay? And sometimes I would actually, after I read an article, write a 2 to 3 line summary about this article. Okay? In case like 2 days later I read that, I don't want to read the whole thing again. Okay, so I would just refer to my 2 lines. Okay, so you don't need to read that again. Okay, then I will put that away. Okay, or this one is particularly useful if I need this piece of information. Then I know whenever I need something, right, then I'll refer to it. Right, so write down some remarks. And feel free to agree and disagree. Right? This is important. And then make use of them. Okay, so put a star on this line. Okay, when you're reading anything in the future, try the strategies. Okay, and hopefully this will not just get you to read faster, but more effectively. And also consider what is missing. Missing would be, I don't think we have a lot of time to talk about that in this 4-day section, but it's more about the discussion part, the final part. You know, they always talk about the limitations of the article. All papers have limitations, right? So even for the most well-known researchers, they cannot finish everything in one paper. Right? So you can consider what they have not done. Right? Can you find some other articles to supplement that, or anything you can challenge or critique for this paper? And so look at the limitations as well. All right, then this is another checklist, okay, for you to see whether you fully understand an article. Okay, I will just give you everything here. Sorry. Like maybe if you need to just read 1 to 2 articles in very, very great detail, ask yourself if you can answer questions like, what are the background details they have shared? Any key theories they have mentioned? What are their major arguments? Right? And are you convinced of the arguments? The language features, what word they use, any useful stuff you can use. Right? So these are the major things we keep thinking about. And then, of course, next step is from reading to writing. Okay? We want to use that in our academic writing. And one important technique is summarizing. Because you cannot just put every single word from a paper to your own paper. right? Then summarizing is actually a very useful technique. When you do a presentation, you're summarizing something to your classmates. Yeah? And when you're writing, you're also summarizing what you have read, what you have known to your readers. So summarizing is a technique that you always use. And when you're summarizing, you actually do these three things mainly. You select and then extract. Extract would be the most important thing, right? The most useful thing, and then reorganize them in your own way. So a few do's and don'ts. Right? First of all, don'ts. Do not include too much detail. Right? Unless you find the details are very useful or meaningful. You don't need to include supporting information or very specific statistics in summarizing. And do not include your own opinion. If you just do summarizing, summarize what people have said. Right? The opinion part is after summarizing. And then try not to repeat stuff word for word. Like when you're summarizing things, rephrase them. Okay, maybe when people say a woman like me is not like I forgot the saying, like it's not worthy of any man's love or attention, then you use other words like maybe, hey, this lady with a very low self-esteem, okay, is worried about how she would look or appear in front of men. And so you have the same idea, but then use entirely different words. Right? So it's still summarizing, but rephrasing. I will talk about paraphrasing next lesson. Yeah. And then the do's will be only look for the most important points, read the original several times so that you don't miss any details. And when you try to summarize, maybe if it is not a very long text, put it away. Because if you don't put it away, this is what I do when I'm writing. I would put away or I don't look at the original. I don't want to copy stuff. I will always find other people's wording are really good. I want to use that. But it's hard to rephrase if you do that. So once I understand, I know the key points, maybe I make other notes and then I'll write it myself. And after I finish writing, I cross-check whether I miss anything. And it's easier for you not to copy anything directly. So that's why I read it several times and make sure you understand every stuff and then rephrase. So what we're going to do is try to see if you can summarize based on the article, the extract of the article I told you to read yesterday. Okay, so one page, the section 2, I will see whether you can summarize that based on the criteria here. I don't need you to tell me things like super specific. 75% believe that, 50% believe that. I want more general information, but then you still keep details. And so actually, it's more about like a task, reading the section, potential issues in children's viewing of reality TV. Don't skip the title, right? So this is the section title telling you important details already. And what I intended you to do is to summarize it in around 100 words. Maybe to make it slightly simpler, I would want you to first read that, highlight the key ideas and phrases, make some notes in the margin. Okay? Maybe this one, I don't need that. Details, I don't really need that, but I would keep some ideas. And then, let me see if you have space for the next page. The new one. This one. Oh, not really. Maybe a woman like me, if you haven't used the space here. Yes, thank you. The first page, you have a bit of space, right? If you still have that, or if you have a computer or tablet, feel free to use that too. Write a few lines, 2 to 3 lines, maybe not 100 words, but 2-3 sentences summarizing this page. It can be challenging, right? So you want to keep everything, but only if I want you to write 2 to 3 sentences, how much you can keep. Okay? And when you are writing the 2 to 3 sentences, I'm not saying copy and paste 2 to 3 sentences out of this passage. Remember paraphrasing, right? So keep the major ideas, but use your own words. Right? So find a space later, right, to write that down. Right? So can you please do it now? So this is like how you read an article, you write 2 to 3 lines to remind yourself what this is about. And of course, if you have written it in a good way, you can even use it in your own essay. Because you're actually rephrasing what the arguments are, and you can use it in your own writing as well. Okay, I'll give you some more time, like maybe a few more minutes, and later I want you to exchange your writing with your classmates to kind of learn from each other. Okay, whether your summarizing skill is good, and you can share that. Okay, so I have actually prepared for like a suggested summary for you as well, but I don't want to say that because it's not a model answer. There are tons of ways, right, of summarizing this. And my suggested summary is like around 100 words, so it would be longer than what I asked you to do. Okay? And the one I show you is like, imagine you find, oh, this section is really, really useful, and I'm going to use that to support, my stance, talking about the potential issues that people should pay attention to related to RTV, then maybe you would do something like this. And of course, add citation somewhere, right? Because for summarizing, please write it down somewhere in your note. You still need to mention the source. You need to cite it. I don't think that now I'm using different words, right? And I summarize it in a way that doesn't look like it anymore, right? Then I treat it as my own stuff. Right? You still need to mention, right? Maybe Smith 2020, or according to Chen and Wong 2010, something like this. You still need that, right, for summarizing. Right, but then of course, because this is just an extract, I don't even show you the author's last name. We cannot do the citation, right? Just to remind you of that. And I don't know whether when you're trying to summarize, you at least have a brief topic sentence or stuff showing there are two things, right? Two potential issues. Yeah, and this is something you can do. Okay, so feel free to. It's like 98 words. Of course, it's longer. I told you, right? But we don't have time in this class to write 100 words. That's why I asked you to write only 2 to 3 sentences. But it's still only 100 words out of the whole page. All right, so it's actually summarizing. I'll explain that to you. Actually, it's like 1 or 2 sentences per issue. Right? First sentence, topic sentence. Right? 2 problems caused by children's viewing of reality TV. Every time you mention a short form, put forward the full name first, right? Because don't imagine everyone knows what RTV stands for, right? And you need to make sure all people know the short form is about what exactly. Right? RTV merit immediate public and government's attention. Right? This is a very formal phrase. Merit means deserve. Right? Merit the attention. That means it's something that everyone should pay attention to, but you're using a formal way. And then the underlying parts signal, okay, people will find it very clear to understand, okay, there are 2 problems. And this part is about the first one. This is about the second one, right? The first problem concerns. Concerns means it's about, but again, a relatively formal way. Concerns the failure of young children to discriminate reality from fantasy. Don't just directly copy the subheading, inability to distinguish between reality and fantasy. We try to use similar words, like distinguish between that. We can use discriminate something. Like discriminate here is nothing about stereotype or discrimination. Here is about telling whether there are differences. And then they trust that our TV shows are largely real and unplanned. For the words in red, they are there to make it less definite. Remember yesterday? If I just say, because children believe that our TV shows are real and unplanned, you are trying to imply all children are kind of naive, okay, and they cannot tell the difference. Right? That's why we add largely, maybe most of the time, they are unplanned and neglect the controlled reality. And then they might, not saying they are definitely going to do something violent, they might take up the violent language, aggressive behavior, and things like that. So even if the original author used a very strong word, we try to make it less strong. Right? And then the second problem is related to, so changes slightly instead of concerns, is related to a vast amount of. Remember yesterday I said you can say a large amount of. Another word, a vast amount of, also meaning a large amount of. Unsupervised or unmonitored viewing of RTV, right? Kind of rephrasing the word unlimited access. And then in the US, this situation is alarming, and yet parents, I don't want to say all parents are not caring. Okay, so I don't say parents are unaware. So parents do not seem to be aware of it. Okay, so kind of making it less strong again. Right? So learn from the expressions and also try to keep only the important information. You see that kind of skip all the statistics, right? All the very detailed examples. And of course, you can keep them if you find them useful, but this is a summarizing task. That's why we only extract important stuff. Right. So now let's have a 15-minute break. Right. Good job, guys. And then after that, we will use the next part of the handout. I think during the break, you can use some time to check the attendance, right, as well. I think the student helper will later put the attendance sheet on the front desk. So enjoy your breakfast. Over there. Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Okay, so welcome back to our second part of the section. Right, so the remaining part of today's section will be about the organization, the structure, right, that I've been emphasizing every now and then. And we'll start from, the introduction, the topic sentences, and the body part, and then concluding sentences of the body paragraphs, and then the conclusion. So we'll have a bit of like tiny bit of writing practice, okay, or some sort of related activities for each part. Right? So you'll see. Here is a simple warm-up activity first. You will be able to see 4 structures that are already printed on your handout of the academic essay. You can go through it, structure 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decide which structure is the most effective. And after you finish going through that, making your decision, then talk to people around you and tell them which one you think is the best and why. Right? Also explain your choice. Okay, so please do it now. This is the section 2 PowerPoint handout. You got it this morning. Slide 13. And the 4 structures can be found from slide 14 to 17. What's wrong with the other 3? Right? My question is like this. Okay, so which one is the best? Number 4? Yeah, that I kind of heard like in a few cases, some may think number 3 is also okay, but compared it with number 4, it's still not complete. It's about completeness in a structure. And so put a star next to structure 4, right, and you can use that to proofread your future papers, right, to see if you have included all the necessary components. Right. So I think the author's view opinion part is mainly for argumentative essay. Yeah, if you are asked to write discursive essay, yesterday we talked about that, just to list out the benefits, list out all the facts, you don't need to include that. But I would say number 4, I actually include not just the background information, the context, but these two, the author's view and preview. Usually people will group them as one thesis statement. Right? So in one thesis statement, you will tell people, okay, so something should be implemented. Remember some examples yesterday. Right? And then because of 3 reasons, then you list them out briefly. Right? So one sentence, you can include these 2 components. And then for each body paragraph, you simply repeat this pattern. Okay, so academic writing actually can be quite simple to learn, okay, because the pattern is repetitive, like topic sentence and then supporting details, concluding sentence. But you use different phrases to summarize the ideas. And then concluding paragraph, you summarize everything you said briefly. You can use one sentence to do that. And then restate the author's view is like restate view, meaning you reinforce what you believe in, especially if there is a stance. And sometimes we will add one more sentence that is like looking forward, right, or recommendation or suggestion, prediction, things like that. So this kind of structure is also a bit like IELTS. If anyone has the chance to take IELTS exam, they task 2, writing task 2, you're also asked to write an argumentative essay. But they don't force you to write whatever number of paragraphs, but I always suggest my students to write 4. Right? So introduction, and then 2 body paragraphs, and then concluding paragraph, right? And also following similar structure. And then the basic thing, right? So we have already explained it. And so, so that's why I skipped that one. Sample introduction. We can have a quick look. Imagining you're writing on a topic called globalization, right? Then you will first explain maybe the definition, background information. Like some people always say, like, do we need to define terms in the introduction? I would say it's optional. I don't think definition is a must. If it is a controversial term, or there can be potentially different definitions and define it. Okay? But if not, you don't always need to define the term. It's more about giving background details, the phenomenon. Maybe it's an important thing. More people are paying attention. It's becoming more prevalent. And then you can mention them first. And then thesis statement. This essay will first do something and then, and lastly, right? We always use these words to signal the flow. But of course, you can group them in one sentence. Okay, so just now the task is relatively simple. This one trickier. Right? We are doing rearranging the sentence order. Right? On this slide, you will find 6 sentences, right, that can be found in one introduction. I want you to rearrange them in a correct order so that they make sense in the introduction. Okay, so if you remember, it should be background first, right, and then more details, and then thesis statement. Okay, so can you write down your answer, like in case you think the order is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, write it down somewhere. Then I'll walk around and check if your answer is correct. And of course, you can talk to your neighbors about your decision. Okay, I guess you know this introduction is about prepositions, using prepositions. And I think the easiest to identify is number 5. Number 5, what is that? Is a what statement? What's the term? Thesis statement. Thank you. So it's a thesis statement saying this essay, yeah, we'll talk about whatever. And then so it's like giving you the preview, right? Then that's why it should never be the beginning. It should be the end. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the others, all right, let's check it. Right, the sequence should be, by the way, 6. Okay, number 6 is first. Because the topic is about using prepositions correctly. You introduce the topic to others. Yeah, and a lot of people mess up these two, 6 and 3, and write 3, 6. It should be 6, 3. I'll explain to you why. You are not writing like a Wikipedia page explaining to people what is preposition, right? So we do not start your essay by saying prepositions are that. And why do I care about your essay? You're trying to introduce my essay is about using prepositions correctly. And in case you don't know, like prepositions are small connecting words that only exist in English but may not be in other languages. So that's why it is difficult. So this definition is supplementing why it is a difficult task for a lot of people. Yeah, and then that would make sense why we define it. We don't suddenly define a term at the beginning of a paper. Okay, so that is the reason. So background information sets the context. Context means the backdrop, the background for the essay. And then you further explain. Just now, the first sentence says it's difficult if English is not the person's first language. And then this sentence explains because these are words that do not always exist in other languages. Okay, so it's linking. And then 1, such, right? The word such is crucial, right? Such language differences make teaching in this area very difficult. And that's why there are 2 theories. And then the next 2 should be easy. You say one popular teaching method is this, and other method is that. You don't even need to understand what they're talking about. But you see the words one method, another method, and thesis statement, right? So thesis statement outline what the essay will cover, what perspective the essay or the essay will mainly focus on or the writer believes in. Okay, so that is it. And you will see that the introduction is not a super short one. Some students write like that, just a brief saying, oh, this essay will talk about this, full stop, like 1 sentence, 2 sentences. Background actually can be rather substantial. You need to explain it in quite a good detail before you talk about your viewpoint. Okay, so next slide, you will see how we write thesis statement, like some criteria you should follow. So a thesis statement is the main idea of an essay. It always appears in the introduction and usually around the end. It gives a clear answer to the essay question. It's something that you can elaborate on further. Usually, if it is an argumentative essay, it contains an opinion and also an overview. Overview meaning what you're going to talk about in the next paragraphs. And it's part of the introduction, 1 to 2 sentences long, but never say, I believe or in my opinion. Just say this essay or this paper, right? Use objective wording, right? So this is the introduction part. And based on what you mentioned in the thesis statement, we can more easily generate our body paragraphs, especially the topic sentence. Because if in the thesis statement you said there are 3 reasons, then the first body paragraph should be about the first reason, right? Then you will say the first reason of something is, right? So it's just linking what you said with the thesis statement. And these are the characteristics of topic sentences in your body paragraphs. Like it should be supporting what you said in the thesis. Is always at the beginning of a body paragraph. Actually, it's not always, but for to students, I'll always say at the beginning. It's easier for readers to find it. It can be within the paragraph. Right? But for the sake of simplicity, usually at the beginning. And then it's related to all the supporting details, no informal language. Hey, like I'm going to talk about that. And don't say something very, very general, right? Because it should be related to one key idea of that paragraph. But it should not be too specific because specific details will be left in the details part of the body paragraph. So it's kind of in the middle, not too general and not too specific would be your topic sentence. And what we're going to do now is to let you judge which one is the most suitable topic sentence out of the 4 options I give you. Right, so this task is quite interesting. From slide 22 to 24, you see 5 groups. And for each group, one sentence would be the most suitable topic sentence, while the other 3 are actually supporting sentences related to that. Right? So it's so within the same body paragraph, but the others are supporting. Okay, so can you identify which one is the topic sentence? I give you one more minute, right, to check the answers, and then.
Yes, I think that part of the copy. Right. Diversity.
Okay. So I think from this activity, you are not just choosing the correct answer. I want you to feel how general or specific a topic sentence is like. So you need to include some details. You cannot just say, "Oh, there are many things," okay, and then you give examples. We don't know what things you're talking about, and which place, and which area, and so need more specific details, but not too specific. Right? That's the thing about topic sentences. So, group one. Answer is very good. Okay, so hikers all over Utah because it's about different places in Utah, first of all, and then can access hiking trails and enjoy nature. So it's like covering everything you're going to mention. Yeah, and then the supporting details, you see, not just one sentence. A lot of students, like when they cannot think of examples, just for example, and then one thing, or just further elaborate on D, right, what the nature is like. Right? So we need really specific details. And then group two, answer is very good. B. New York is a culturally diverse city. Right? Then you can see all the different kinds of things related to culture in the other options. And group three, answer is C. Very good. All right. But then can you kind of delete one thing or cross out one thing? I don't like the word things in C. Technology helps people learn things in today's world. We don't use that in academic writing. Maybe it's like informal writing is fine. Yeah. And then next group, group four. Okay, very good. B. There are many fun activities, and then museum, it can be fun. Okay, and then student concerts, clubs, fun activities. And then group five, answer is okay, very good. Many different memories, and you related to smells. Yeah, it's true. And now you know how to write it. You said it. So that's why I'm asking you to write 3 topic sentences. It's super simple. You will know these are not even academic ideas, right? Something related to maybe room sharing, eating chocolate, right? And after you read the whole thing, read the body part first, and then decide what the topic sentence, how it should be written. If you want more space for writing, in the supplementary handout, page I don't know which page is this, activity 3. Okay, so you will find write topic sentences. Then you find 3 spaces for writing them. Okay, you can use that if you want to. Again, no so-called standard answer, right? But I will later show you some suggested ways. Do try it out yourself first. Okay, so many possibilities for number one. I'm showing you some, and hopefully that triggers your thoughts of how you can write the topic sentences better. Okay, so you can keep your own topic sentence. Okay, for number one is about private versus shared room, right? So you would need to highlight in the topic sentence. This paragraph is about the differences, right? So it's a keyword, and then what exactly like the differences of which aspect you're going to talk about. Right? So you may say the differences between, right, and then possible wording that you can choose from, private or individual room and a shared room are, right? Feel free to learn this word twofold. Right? Twofold is like there are two different yeah, so basically two differences, right? But you don't say the differences are two. Yeah, twofold, 两方面. Okay, so twofold, multifold. Multifold is like you don't need to even mention how many. Okay, but then you can say threefold. You learn the trick like threefold, twofold, multifold. Or simply there are some differences. You don't need to make it very specific. Or like different types expose. Expose means show, like both advantages. Right? Even for the word advantages, there are many synonyms, similar words like benefits, merits, and then disadvantages, drawbacks, limitations, shortcomings, demerits, detriments. I just list out all the words that I can think of. Okay, so then feel free to choose from some of them. And you don't need to keep repeating the same word. Okay, private room, shared room throughout your whole paper. And then next one. People love chocolate due to three reasons. Right? So this time, if you change it the other way around, you can say the reasons are threefold, right? Or chocolate is likable for several reasons. Right? Sometimes we put a subject on the thing that you're talking about, or you put it using there are. Right? So there are many possibilities. And there are not just some, here more synonyms, several, multiple, or yesterday we talked about the word numerous, yeah, or a number of. And then last one, it is about like respecting people. So this word respect should appear somewhere in your topic sentence. An ideal roommate needs to respect others' routines and to keep the room tidy. You may list out the two things and then you will elaborate on it in detail. Or respecting others is the quality people look for. Right? Then you talk about how to do that in the following. Why underline ing? Right? It's like the term, a subject in at the beginning of a sentence. So either you put a noun or a gerund, a verb ing. Okay, a little bit of English grammar. Respecting others or being respectful is the quality. And at the end of a body paragraph, we would of course have a concluding sentence. So after you have read these examples, go back to the PowerPoint handout. I have provided 3 examples of concluding sentence. You don't just wrap up or repeating the topic sentence. You may like give your opinion a little bit or offer some prediction or advice. Like look at the 3 possibilities of what you can include in the concluding sentence. Okay, that is the slide 26. Yeah. Okay, so you're not adding new ideas in a concluding sentence, but you can do a nice wrap up by offering opinions, predictions, or advice. So let's see if you can identify the best concluding sentence. Next slide. Imagine you're writing the topic sentence as a shared room offers students a more social experience. What do you think would be the best concluding sentence that is relevant to this topic, and it should be a concluding sentence? So read that, quietly choose one, and then tell your classmates which one you have chosen. share your answer? I kind of heard that some of you got it correct. Yes, very good. C. And also you can underline the first three words. These examples illustrate. It's a very nice way to wrap up the paragraph, right? Because you have shared a lot of examples and then illustrate. Is a word that is similar to the meaning of show, but usually it's like you have given a lot of evidence and examples. Then all these would illustrate something, like vividly, clearly show something. And so this is a useful word or phrase in a concluding sentence. And now putting that into practice, this time just two, and you have read them basically. You know, the New York is a culturally diverse city is a topic sentence, and then all the examples. And what would your concluding sentence be like? And can you try to write two concluding sentences for each of them? And if you need a bit of space, you can use the supplementary handout. Right? Under the three boxes of topic sentences, you have two boxes for concluding sentence. And the technology one, you also have read that before. Okay, so again, I give you some options to let you see what it is like. I think at least most of you have finished trying one of them. Okay, then you get the feeling, and I hope you would know better how to write it to wrap up everything. So feel free to take a photo of this if you want to see more examples. Like phrases like "it can be seen that," or "these show that," "these illustrate that," "these demonstrate that," are very useful. Okay, just use that to wrap up the paragraph. And try not to exactly, I'm not saying this would be wrong, but if you keep repeating like words are culturally diverse, like using exact format of wording as the topic sentence and the text can look a bit, repetitive. And that's why we would change, still keep the meaning, but we change it to maybe the city has different cultures, right? Or diverse or various cultures, use different sentence structure and words. And then number two, you can use words like hence, therefore, and that is a simple word to wrap up. Where in the modern world, technology facilitates learning. So facilitates, promotes, enhance. These are words that are formal. Yesterday we showed the word alleviate. That would be alleviating something bad. But facilitate, promote, enhance would be something good. So you don't say something too strong. Facilitate is like making something better. Okay, so now that you understand how to wrap up the body paragraph, final bit will be the conclusion paragraph. Actually, it's not difficult, right? As long as you follow the structure. The first sentence is always about restating your thesis. Restate means kind of repeat. Right? Repeating what your thesis will be the final sentence of your introduction is about. So we want to reinforce our stance, letting readers know we still believe in that after telling you so many examples and arguments. And you can restate the thesis by words like changing the order, using synonyms, using different points, arranging them in a different way. I think showing you the example would be easier to understand. Imagining the introduction's thesis statement is like this. Exercise is essential because it improves overall physical and mental health. And then in your body paragraphs, maybe one paragraph is about how exercise can improve your physical health. And then another body paragraph, exercise can improve mental health. Then the conclusion would be like you wrap up and say, due to the mental and physical health benefits brought by doing exercise, it is essential or it is crucial, we change the word, to exercise regularly. And you see, it's exactly the same. The meaning, but then the wording looks a bit different. So that is restating the thesis. And in the conclusion, we restate the thesis first. In the introduction, the thesis is at the end. And then this is one more example of a thesis statement in the introduction. Can you choose the best restated thesis in the conclusion? Okay, which one? Okay, very good. So it is vital. You learn one more word, right? Crucial, essential, vital. And so wrapping up everything here. And then for apartments to offer residents with that. Right? Then you don't need to exactly repeat all the reasons again. It's already mentioned. And I want to intentionally leave the final two slides till tomorrow. Because I can use that as a wrap up, just in case we forgot 70% of the materials we talk about today. We still can use that to wrap up. And then the final one is very exciting, okay, and challenging. It takes more time. right, to finish the final task. Right, so that is why I want to use like tomorrow, right, the beginning part of the section to wrap up this, right, and then we can move on to the next part. Okay, so thank you for coming again. I hope you enjoyed learning a bit of writing and reading today. Okay, see you tomorrow.